Welcome back. You're watching Plain Speak here on CNN News 18. My name is Toya Singh. We're now walking you into our second debate. This is going to be much more like a conversation. We want to hear from you. Our second story tonight is one of great human interest because of how heartbreaking it is. In a horrifying incident at a high-rise society in Noida, Sector 137, a 73-year-old woman died after the lift that she was in collapsed midway. Now, she'd gotten onto the elevator from the 8th floor, but the wire of the elevator snapped, leading to a free fall between floors that may have caused the woman cardiac arrest. Now, just a few hours after, hundreds of residents of the Tierra society where this happened came out in the society's complex to protest this incident and the upkeep of common services like the management of lifts. But this is actually not the first time. Back in 2016 too, the society members had protested against what they call the poor quality of the builder's construction. Recently, we've seen several stories related to the lack of safety measures housing societies have in place across the country for their residents. Today on Plain Speak, we want to have a slightly different discussion where we hear from you, our audiences, about your urban residential trials, your woes. We also want to understand what you think can be done to make our houses homes. First, let's take a look at what happened at Tierra. A 73-year-old elderly woman took a lift. She took it from the 8th floor. She was living in that apartment with her son and her daughter-in-law. Now, the lift suddenly collapsed midway, but it didn't actually touch the ground. This happened at 4:15 p.m. The elevator basically moved between floors. She was inside it. The victim was rescued after 45 minutes. She was rushed to a nearby hospital, but she was declared dead on arrival by the doctors. Now, it's yet to be seen if she died due to cardiac arrest or due to injuries she suffered, possibly on her head. Several questions arise here. Number one, why did it take 45 minutes to rescue the woman in the first place? Number two, did potential negligence and lapses either in the original construction, the construction of the elevator, the procurement of the elevator and the placement inside the building, or the maintenance? Was that the issue? Why weren't regular maintenance checks conducted? We know that they weren't being conducted the way they should be. And how did an earlier lift mishap that actually took place just a few days before that, where luckily there wasn't anyone in the elevator, how did that go unchecked? Are lifts in high-rise buildings themselves becoming death traps because of poor maintenance? Does more need to be done? That's what we want to discuss with you, particularly those of you that live in residential societies across the country. We're focusing today on this 76-year-old woman's life and story. Was this accident that she suffered, was it an accident in the first place, or was it actually sheer negligence from authorities? And how do we make high-rise buildings safer? These are the two questions we're taking a look at today on Plain Speak.
The doors completely get blocked, and many times people here complain about the free fall. 30th June, the contract got over, so there was no maintenance.
Okay, we are asking you to call in and tell us your thoughts, your plight, the problems that you face living in high-rise buildings in different metropolitan cities across the country. How do we make high-rise buildings and high-rise communities safer? What can we do to improve the experience? Call us on 0120-434-1895. 0120-434-1895. All right, we have two guests with us right now. First, to shed light on this story, we have Binay Kumar Singh. He's actually a resident of the tower complex where this took place, Tierra. Binay Kumar Singh, thank you for joining us, sir. Thank you for taking out the time. We also have Ravi Sinha. He's a real estate expert. We'll come over to him for his expertise on the ways in which complexes are managed across the country. Binay ji, I'm actually coming over to you first, because I first want to ask you about how you heard about this incident when it took place. then tell us a little bit more about the experience of living in the society, because we've heard complaints from residents over the day today. I want to know what your experience has been, sir.
Yesterday, what was happening is very disheartening. और ये RWA का कहना है कि बिल्डर ने जो मेंटेनेंस करा था या मेंटेनेंस कर रहे थे वो प्रॉपर तरीके से नहीं कर रहे थे.
हाँ.
बट मेरा कहना ये भी है कि RWA ने जब हैंड ओवर लिया तो उन्होंने हैंड ओवर लेने में बहुत जल्दीबाजी कर दी, जिसकी वजह से ये सारी चीजें हो रही हैं. अगर उन्होंने प्रॉपर तरीके से हैंड ओवर लिया होता तो शायद ये मिस हैपनिंग नहीं हुई होती. बिल्डर ने जो करना था वो तो करके निकल गया, बट RWA ने भी अपना पूरा काम नहीं किया, जिसकी वजह से ये मिस हैपनिंग हुई.
सर, आप जब कह रहे हैं कि RWA ने पूरा काम नहीं किया, आप उसके बारे में और बता सकते हैं हमें?
मैम, हैंड ओवर लेने में उन्होंने बहुत ज्यादा जल्दीबाजी कर दी. उन्होंने हैंड ओवर विद इन अ मंथ, इतनी बड़ी सोसाइटी जहां 4,000 फ्लैट्स है, उसके हैंड ओवर लेने में विद इन अ मंथ इतने बड़े सोसाइटी का उन्होंने हैंड ओवर ले लिया. तो बेसिक चीजें जो उनको जाननी थी, समझनी थी, मे बी उन्होंने बिल्डर से समझा नहीं या कहीं ना कहीं वो रह गया, जिसकी वजह से ये सारी चीजें हो रही है.
ओके सर, आप
बिल्डर के साथ
नहीं, सॉरी, आगे बढ़िए सर, क्या कह रहे थे आप?
नॉट गेटिंग योर वॉइस.
ऑलराइट, आर यू एबल टू हियर मी सर?
सॉरी,
विनय कुमार सर, आर यू एबल टू हियर मी?
या.
All right. Can I come to you with follow-up questions, sir? Can you tell me a little bit more about उस सोसाइटी में जहाँ पे आप रहते हैं, उसके बारे में आप हमें और बता सकते हैं? RWA के बारे में और बता सकते हैं? कोई ऐप है जिससे आप कोऑर्डिनेट करते हैं RWA के साथ? RWA कितना बड़ा है, हमें और बता सकते हैं सर?
मैम, जब बिल्डर, अब आई थिंक मई में इन्होंने बिल्डर से हैंड ओवर लिया था. जब तक बिल्डर के पास था तो हमारे पास यहाँ पे माई गेट के थ्रू या फिर हम ऑफिस डेस्क पे जाके अपने सारी चीजें जो भी कंप्लेन होती थी वो रेज करते थे. बट अभी हम जो कंप्लेन रेज करते हैं वो माई गेट पे ही करते हैं, और डेस्क पे या किससे बात करनी है, एस्केलेट किससे करना है, ये हमें अभी पता नहीं होता है. हम सिर्फ ऐप पे अपना रेज करते हैं, उसके बाद क्या हो रहा है क्या नहीं हो रहा है हमें नहीं पता इसके बारे में. उसको कौन देख रहा है कौन नहीं देख रहा है, नो आइडिया.
ओके सर, आप हमें बता सकते हैं, कहा जा रहा है कि एक और ऐसा हादसा हुआ था कुछ ही दिन पहले जिसमें एलिवेटर गिरा था, तब एलिवेटर के अंदर कोई था नहीं. उस हादसे के बारे में आप कुछ जानते हैं सर?
मैम, यहाँ पे अक्सर ही ऐसा कुछ होते रहता है. आप आए दिन किसी भी आप टावर में चले जाइए, अमूमन आपको हर दूसरे दिन किसी ना किसी टावर में आपको लिफ्ट बंद मिलेंगी. रीजन नहीं पता होता है, एक्चुअल रीजन ये बताते भी नहीं है क्यों बंद है लिफ्ट, बट आपको हर टावर में ऐसे घटनाएं मिल जाएंगी.
ओके सर, आपसे ये भी पूछना है, RWA के बारे में आपने बात किया था, जो आपके कॉम्प्लेक्स का RWA है सर, वो इलेक्ट किया जाता है, कैसे सिलेक्ट किया जाता है, और जो प्रेसिडेंट है उनके बारे में आप कुछ जानते हैं सर?
मैम, एक्चुअली ये तो RWA फॉर्म हो गया, किसने फॉर्म किया, इन्हें किसने इलेक्ट किया, मोस्ट ऑफ द जो यहाँ पे रेसिडेंट है उनको नहीं पता है. इनफैक्ट मुझे भी नहीं पता.
आपने कहा था सर कि 4,000 लोग रहते हैं, क्या आपको पता है RWA का साइज कितना है, कितने लोग हैं जो मेंटेन करते हैं? नहीं,
मैं कुछ बता दो रहा हूँ, RWA के बारे में कुछ नहीं पता है. गिने चुने एक आध लोगों का नाम पता है, वो भी पूरे नाम नहीं पता है. और 4,000 तो मैम हाउस है, लोग कितने रहते हैं पता नहीं. 4,000 तो फ्लैट्स है.
ओके सर, एक और प्रश्न आपसे पूछना है, कल के हादसे के बारे में आप हमें और बता सकते हैं? रेजिडेंट्स का रिएक्शन क्या था, आपके नेबर्स का क्या रिएक्शन था सर इस पे?
मैम, कल शाम को जब मैं ऑफिस से वापस आया, अमून 7:15 बज रहे थे. 7:15 बजे का जब मैं गेट से एंटर लिया तो काफी भीड़ लगी हुई थी. तब मुझे पता चला कि टावर 24 में एक लिफ्ट के वायर टूटने की वजह से एक लेडी की डेथ हो गई है. फिर वहां पे पुलिस आई हुई थी, लोगों में काफी गुस्सा था, बट उसके बाद पुलिस प्रेसिडेंट जो कर्नल गौतम है उनको ले जाने की कोशिश कर रही थी. लोगों ने काफी रोका, रिजाइन मांग रहे थे. उसके बाद मैं वहां पे, और क्या हुआ उसके बारे में मुझे बहुत ज्यादा आइडिया नहीं है.
ओके, बट सर आप मुझे ये बता सकते हैं कि कल और आज के बीच में RWA की तरफ से कोई नोटिफिकेशन आया है इस इंसिडेंट के बारे में?
मैम, एक नोटिफिकेशन क्या बोलोगे आप, एक सॉरी मैसेज आया है इनका ईमेल पे, बस इसके अलावा और ऐसा कुछ नहीं आया.
उसके बारे में सर हमें और बताइए.
सॉरी,
उस नोटिफिकेशन के बारे में हमें और बताइए, उनका क्या कहना था सर RWA का?
उनका कहना था कि उन्होंने मेंटेनेंस किसी को दे रखा था, और मेंटेनेंस से वो बात कर रहे हैं. उन्होंने FIR जो है जिसको ARC दे रखा था, जो मेंटेनेंस का वो दे रखा है ईयरली मेंटेनेंस का, उसके ऊपर FIR कराया और उसे पुलिस ने तलब किया है। अब उसके आगे बहुत जानकारी नहीं है मुझे।
ओके सर, एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन आपसे यहाँ पे पूछना है, क्योंकि अभी आपने कहा कि जो आउटसाइड कोई एजेंसी है जो बाहर से आके अंदर आती है कॉम्प्लेक्स के अंदर और एलिवेटर की मेंटेनेंस करती है, उस एजेंसी का नाम जानते हैं हम? पुलिस उसके ऊपर भी इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रही है सर अभी?
RWA का यही कहना है कि उन्होंने FIR लॉन्च किया है उसके ऊपर। अब इसके आगे के मुझे बहुत ज्यादा आइडिया नहीं है।
ऑलराइट सर, हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए धन्यवाद। इफ आई कैन जस्ट आस्क यू, हमारे साथ रुके रहिए। आई वांट टू गो ओवर राइट नाउ टू रवि सिन्हा जी, ही इज अ रियल एस्टेट एक्सपर्ट. Mr. Sinha, unfortunately, so let me just actually, before I come over to you, quickly summarize for our viewers, particularly those who don't speak Hindi, what it is that Binay Kumarji just told me. Essentially, what he said is that the experience that he's had living in the complex over the last few years has been not one at all that has been satisfactory. He says that he has very little contact with the RWA, that there are about 4,000 flats, but that he doesn't know how large the RWA is. He did say that in yesterday's incident, the police came, the RWA president was held responsible, but an FIR has currently been filed against the company that manages the elevator, that comes in and does the outside maintenance. Now, Ravi Sinha ji, I'm coming over to you to understand more. You're a real estate expert. I thought you could provide our audiences with some context as to, especially having heard Binay Kumarji's entire statement, what is your perspective on the way this particular society is running things? I'll then take it to a bigger question, sir.
Incidentally, I have also lived in that society in the past. So
Okay.
I have a better perspective on that given society. See, there are basically three stakeholders in any given society when it comes to proper maintenance of the society. Builder, authorities, and home buyers. Builders have compromised the societies in general across the Noida and Greater Noida. If you look at the condition of the elevators, I mean, they are using the low-grade powder-coated elevators and not even stainless steel elevators. The size of the elevators,
sir, one second,
in
just
general,
break down for our audiences. Sorry, sir, before you go ahead, break down to our audiences why that matters, please.
Sorry, I'm coming to see, when you make a high-rise apartment, normally fire safety and lift safety are two very important components. But what actually happens is that since there is no check and balance mechanism on part of the government agencies, the developers compromise with the quality of fire safety and lift safety. Mostly they use the low quality powder coated lifts, which are the most low quality and lowest cost elevators. Across the matured markets, if you go to Mumbai or Bangalore, you will see they use stainless steel elevators. So, number one, your quality of elevators are very poor.
Okay,
Number
wait,
two,
sir, stay with me.
maintenance
We have you on number one, which is that the quality of elevators is very poor. We're going to pause you there for a second. We have a caller coming in. I'll come back to you because I do want to understand more. Saket is with us from Bihar. Saket, thank you for joining us here on the show. Let me just tell our audiences, you can call us live on 0120-434-1933. I'm going to speak to Saket in Hindi. We'll translate later. Saket ji, हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए धन्यवाद. Saket ji, इस खबर पे आपकी क्या प्रतिक्रिया है, सर?
ये मेरी प्रतिक्रिया ये है मैम, मैं एडवाइस के तौर पर कहना चाहूंगा कि लिफ्ट के अंदर मोबाइल नंबर यानी कॉन्टैक्ट नंबर होनी चाहिए जो मेंटेनर है उनका भी, और इमरजेंसी के लिए होना चाहिए। नहीं रहता है, अक्सर मैं देखता हूँ।
सर, आप हमें ये
हाँ।
बताइए, आप एक ऐसे हाई राइज कॉम्प्लेक्स में रहते हैं, आपके साथ ऐसी एक्सपीरियंस हुई है क्या?
जी, ये कभी फील होता है कि कुछ कि जैसे लोग जब उसमें इन करते हैं या आउट होते हैं या किसी भी तरह का लाइट ऑफ हो जाती है, इस टाइप का जब हम फेस करते हैं,
हाँ जी,
तो एक कांटेक्ट नंबर उस पर रहना चाहिए। कांटेक्ट नंबर नहीं रहता है किसी लिफ्ट में देखता।
All right, sir. Thank you for giving that recommendation. Saket from Bihar saying that elevators need to make sure they have a number that people can call if there's any kind of problem. Now we have Harbir Singh who's joining us from Gurgaon, so from right here in the NCR region. Harbir, thank you for joining us. Harbir, what is your reaction to this story? Do you live in a complex building? I ask you, Gurgaon is full of complex buildings. Do you live in one?
Hi, thank you for taking my call. Actually, no, I'm an NRI and I'm visiting Gurgaon, but I do live in the US. But my question to you is, why don't you sue these people who what's happened over here? It's just ridiculous. And thank you for doing this because thanks CNN, because it's just been the whole politics thing going on. And it's very shameful what happened to this 75-year-old lady. What are these people doing who are not maintaining? Yes, okay, my mom lives in India. She lives in a high-rise building like this one. But people don't care. It's all about money, and it's all about maintenance. They just want money, paying $5,000, $6,000 a month. But then nothing happens. Took 45 minutes for this lady, for this elevator to come down, and she dies. I'm really sorry for her family, and thank you again for taking my call.
The tricky thing, Harbir, and I want to get your opinion on this, is as we can see already in this case, there's a passing of the buck taking place. The RWA should be making sure the checks are happening, but the RWA is now holding responsible the company that comes in to do those checks. Do you have any comment on that? All right, I think we've actually lost our connection with Harbir. We have another caller who's come over. This is from Bangalore. Ramamurthy is with us. Ramamurthy, I want to understand what your response is to this. We were just hearing right now that Bengaluru is one of the markets in which you do find high-rise complexes. Do you happen to live in one? Do you have an opinion on this story?
Yes, I do have a story. Basically, I'm in this field of safety. I'm a safety expert. I've worked in about 5 countries. And I did have an experience in 1997, and I was caught in an elevator for a day and a half, the overnight on a weekend. Basically, coming to this incident, because I also do something called as a housekeeping audit or a health checkup audit for industries. Okay, for industries where they have all these elevators and things, complete, end-to-end. Most of the time what is happening is that there is a compromise which takes place. And if you take in India, every city has got more than 500 people who are classified auditors or certifiers who don't even have a degree. So here I think this is a real case study where I would request all the premises where they need to hire people like QV or Lloyds, and on a yearly basis, it's not going to cost much because each house owner or a flat owner he's only going to sell about 1,000 rupees per annum. I think a complete end-to-end health checkup should be done for all this. And here what I see is, because I have audited a couple of incidents similar to this in Bangalore, here I think something has been compromised. Now I think the state government, the Home Secretary should take it up, and I definitely feel this lady, it is not her mistake. I think she should be given a big compensation, but at the end of the day, it's not about the compensation, but if this can be, this could happen in one place, it could happen in 200 places the same day in same place.
Okay, Mr. Ramamurthy, can I just ask you, because you are familiar with this entire terrain, can you tell our audiences, in your experience, what is the kind of government mechanism that exists to make sure that the audits are taking place? Is there any?
Yeah, there is something like, such a premises. You have around 113 questionnaires. And it has to be done by a competent person, competent person who does not compromise. In such places, what happens is the guys don't even come to the site, but they give a certificate. And I think a complete thorough investigation has to be done. And if we can get a clue on this, it can be replicated in 10 more places at the same time.
Okay, Mr. Ramamurthy, I'd like to first also say thank you to you. You are the only caller who's actually experienced this, where, you said you were stuck in an elevator for a day and a half. That's horrifying to hear. Thank you, though, for also bringing us your expertise. I'd also like to thank the other callers who were with us right now, and, of course, the panelists that were with us. We're going to have to wrap up. This is a particularly important issue, and one around which we won't allow the discussion to end. This is Plain Speak. Thank you for staying with us over the last 1 hour.